Hi, Namaste, and welcome back to the channel. I am Bhavna Kurana, and you are watching Bhavna Ki Bhavna. Today's video, we talk about CAIA, a rather lesser known designation or a degree that you can pursue to take your love for the markets and for trading to the next level. We have an extremely special guest today who has been into this industry for over 15 years. With a graduation degree and an MBA in finance, he moved to Mumbai with a dream of making a career into this field. Lesser did he know that he will stumble upon a degree that will fulfill his wishes and land him into his dream job. We will talk to Manan Vaishnav today. He is an institutional day trader into one of the top banks in the world, and he will tell you everything about his journey in the end. So stay tuned till the end. In the initial part, we talk about how to pursue this degree, when to pursue this degree, how to crack the two levels of the exams, and what kind of roles you can look forward to after you've taken the degree. So stay tuned, subscribe to the channel, comment how you like it, and yes, do not forget to like the video. Tell me in the comments how you like it. Manan, welcome to the channel and thank you so much for agreeing to do this.
So, thank you for inviting me to share my thoughts. To give you a brief background about myself, I work at an investment bank and I trade equity, index, and currency derivatives for institutional clients. Uh, I have been in the investment banking sphere since the last 14 plus years. And typically, uh, the world of investments of stock markets has always interested me. So yeah, it has been a pleasure to be working in such kind of a setup, and it is also a pleasure to share, my journey as well as information about the CIA designation with all of you.
Okay, superb. I'm excited for this session, and guys, I hope you are excited too because today we are exploring a very less known degree here, which is very much in demand these days. It has become popular among the recruiters, but do the recruitees know about it? We will see. So, without the session, so it about and why should people go for it? Who are the kind of people who should be going for it?
Okay, so CAIA, it is an acronym for the Chartered Alternative Investment Analyst. It is a finance designation. It has been planned and conceived by the CAIA Association, which is based in Amherst, Massachusetts, in the US. CAIA Association itself is the brainchild of Alternative Investment Management Association and the Center for International Securities and Derivatives Markets. So AIMA and CISDM, true industry leading bodies, have conceived the idea of CAIA Association, and then they have come out with this program of the CAIA Charter. Okay, it has been around for the last couple of decades. It is a globally recognized credential for the professionals who manage, who analyze, who distribute, or who regulate the alternative investments. Slowly, they are spreading globally. They have around 11,000 members. Every year, they have around 250 annual events. Some of these events are for members. Some of them are not for members. Also, uh, they are very committed to their growth, and so they have like around 31 plus chapter offices. So like CA also we have chapter offices. In the same way, CAIA also has chapter offices, and in Mumbai they have, in Delhi they have, in Bangalore also they have it. Uh, Apart from that, they have around 80 educational tie-ups with various universities and leading these schools. So to talk of globally, it is Macquarie University, or it is Tsinghua Business School, Hong Kong University of Science and Technology, Nanyang Technological University, And obviously, back in India, they have tie-ups with FMS Delhi, that is Faculty of Management Studies, Delhi University, and also the Indian School of Business. So this is how they are committed to expanding the designation. They are committed to expanding the knowledge of alternative investments. And this is their modus operandi. To get the designation, you will have to pass through two exams, level 1 and level 2 exams, which we will talk about at length. Their curriculum and topic weightages, everything we'll discuss in the coming sections. The main focus of the exam is to test the understanding, knowledge, and application of various tools and techniques which will be taught for managing the alternative asset classes. So this is all about the CAIA designation.
Okay, got it. Excellent. So we got to know that CAIA is a degree which will help you specialize in alternative investments. But what are alternative investments? Let's find out.
Sure.
So
Sure.
these will be the topics of discussion in our today's session. Why should someone go for CAIA? Who should be pursuing the program? What will be the fees and curriculum? The examination format, the historical pass percentages, that is your chance of passing the exam, and then the companies who recruit the charter holders. Let's see if you will have a chance there. Coming to, yes, so what are alternative investments?
So there is no fixed definition of what are alternative investments. But I mean, if we keep in mind four characteristics, we can broadly get an idea of what alternative investments are. So we can define them by what they are not. So they are not traditional investments, like investments in stocks, bonds, and FDs, right? They are all traditional investments. These are not those traditional investments. Typically, these investments offer exposure to in the private equities, hedge funds, managed futures, and real assets. Uh, these investments are also characterized by comparatively lower liquidity, higher degree of leverage being employed. There is a concentration risk, and the return patterns or the risk does not follow normal distributions like it is done in the traditional finance theory. So between the mean variance framework, uh, the asset class returns may not necessarily conform to that. Uh, so if we keep in mind these characteristics, we can broadly define the investments in alternative classes. So to broadly sum it up, uh, investments in typically infrastructure like say toll roads, ports, airports, water pipelines, uh, like I said, private equity and venture capital, where the focus is on turning the ideas into businesses of the future. Uh, Hedge funds who employ a lot of leverage and who also trade across various asset classes like equities, commodities, bonds, then investments in real estate, credit, structured products. All these broadly form, the basis of alternative investments. So it is a very broad kind of investments. It is not just related to stocks and bonds. So this is what the alternative investments are.
So you saw that alternative investments cannot be defined in a particular format, or they don't have a rigid definition to themselves. But if you see, these are the asset classes offered by mostly private equity, hedge funds, managed futures, real assets. So everybody who's had a knack for finance could think of pursuing something like this. So people
Absolutely.
who are interested in finance greatly should definitely go forward and watch this entire video to get a summary of this degree. Coming to our next slide, how are alternative investments in India?
So, alternative investments for India, what happened was that around 2013, a lot of rules and regulations formalizing the alternative investment space in India came out. And after that, there has been a steady rise. In fact, steady rise is not the right word. There has been a boom in alternative investments in India, but primarily it can be done by the domestic investors in, by three categories. Alternative investment funds can be set up by in three categories. So one is category 1, category 2, and category 3. Now I'll briefly describe. So wherever the alternative investments funds, if they are having positive effects on the economy, they are generally incentivized by the government or the regulatory bodies. So venture capitals and angel funds and SME funds, these all fall under category 1. Then there are category 3 investments, AIFs, which employ very complex or diverse trading strategies. And they generally invest in the listed markets. So in the stock markets or in the bond market, that is where they invest. That will be a category 3 AIF. And then any investment or vehicle which does not fall within first and the third category, by default, it falls into the second category. So this is for domestic investors. And for the foreign investors, they can also come through the FPI route. So foreign portfolio investor route, they can also access alternative investments in India. So this is the broad framework of how the AIF industry is structured in India.
Superb. So category 1, 2, and 3, and this is the broad classification. But
Yeah.
if we see the operations or the growth in India, you've put in some great graphs here that show comparison between all the three categories. Would you like to elaborate on this?
Yeah, sure. So, so obviously, if I just give you these graphs, the definition or the understanding might not be clear. So let me just give you a comparison. So if roughly mutual funds industry, which is typically the traditional class of investments, mutual funds industry, overall asset AUMs are roughly around 24-25 lakh crores in India. Okay. Now, this is as of like April end, April 2020 end. If we look at their growth, their number around 2013, which is when the AIF industry began, it was around 9.5-10,000 crores. Okay. This implies a compounded annual growth rate of roughly 13.5-14%. Now, to give you a perspective, these graphs, they are showing the growth in the assets under management of the AIFs. Whether it is an AIF or a mutual fund, the basic process of investing is same. So first of all, say for example, if you are investing in a mutual fund, just a simple example of an investor who is investing in a mutual fund. First, he'll commit, say for example, he will commit say 10,000 rupees a month to invest in XYZ fund. Then he will actually subscribe to the SIP, and third, the SIP will start debiting the accounts, right? So in the same way, in alternative investment funds, there are commitments made, because these are big ticket size investments. They run into millions and billions of dollars actually. So first commitments are made, then the actual funds are raised, and then finally once the funds are raised, the investments are made. So looking at these four graphs, the first one shows category 1 AUM growth, category 2 AUM growth, then the third one shows 3 AUM growth, and fourth is consolidated for the entire industry. Now amongst this, the dark blue color, it shows the commitments. The green color, it shows the actual fundraising part. And the light blue one, it shows the actual investment part. Now this is where the fun actually begins. So if we look at category 1 AIF growth, the growth in commitments. So just remember the ballpark number that I gave for mutual funds. It implies roughly 13.5 to 14% CAGR growth. Now over here, the commitments, the growth in commitments for category 1 AIF, it is 50%. If you consider, the time period of 2013 to 2019, all the numbers that I'll give is comparison between these two time periods. For funds raised in category AIF, category 1 AIF, it is 94% growth. And for actual investments, it is 98% CAGR for category 1. Coming to category 2, the number for commitments growth is 93%. For funds raised is 96%. So the green band in the second graph. And the investment made is like 99% CAGR. For category 3, this is where the most explosive growth has been seen. Commitments have grown by 103% since 2013. I'm talking about compounded annual growth rate. The funds raised have grown by 109%, and the investment made have gone up by 112%. So the numbers are absolutely astounding. The investments in alternative investments in India are absolutely booming, and it has come from a very nascent stage, and it is now going towards a mature stage. Probably in another 5 to 7 years, it will kind of reach a steady state growth, depending on the performance of the alternative investments in the coming years. So this is where, the attractiveness of CAIA designation, it can actually come to the fore. So if you look at what the traditional investments industry, the growth is there. It's not as if there is no growth. Growth is there, but compared to the AIF, the growth is very negligible. Whereas over here, the growth is absolutely, it is bursting at the seams. And so it always makes sense to be in an industry which is going to see a massive uptick in growth, rather than be in an industry where the growth is comparatively less, or it is kind of stabilized. So that is where the beauty of the CAIA curriculum comes into picture. It prepares you for being a participant in this industry. It prepares you for being a stakeholder in this industry. And that is where you should ideally be doing the CAIA designation, because the kind of industry growth that is happening, your own personal growth will happen accordingly.
Okay, so I think this was like a beautiful display that okay, so this industry since 2013 till now has seen only growth. So you don't see any kind of fall in it. The growth has been steady. The growth has been steep, but it has been only growth. Okay, so everybody who's wanting to venture into finances, let me tell you that mutual funds are something everybody discusses, or different kinds of investments that are usually on the front, everybody is discussing them. But alternative investments are studied by only those people who actually get into the field. So I think this is the reason people are not very aware, and people are not very acquainted with the industry, for one, and also the kind of growth this industry is going to witness, and it has witnessed till now. So guys, it is a golden opportunity, because this is a very unexplored area by most of the people. So we'll keep on learning about it, but you can see the numbers are in front of you, and you can see that what kind of growth it has witnessed. It only has to rise.
Okay, fine.
Yeah, please go on.
So if you look at the IT industry, right, after the liberalization took place, and gradually around 95, 96, the IT industry, it just started coming up, and the kind of explosive growth that it had seen, similar kind of a growth is going to be seen in the alternative investments industry, and it only makes sense to be a participant in such kind of a growth.
Right. We can take forward with the exam fees.
Okay. So now coming to the examination fees, like I said previously, there are two levels, level 1 and level 2. Irrespective of that, first of all, you have to pay an enrollment fee like all the programs charge, that is $400. And then there is $1,250 which have to be paid for taking the exams. And then once you clear the level 1, you will have to pay another $1,250. Now, like many other programs in the industry, also there is an early registration discount. So if you go on the website, if you explore the dates which are published on the website, if you register within that early bird period, then you will get $100 off in registration fees. And God forbid, but if you fail the exam and you have to retake the exam, then there is a retake fee involved of $450. So this is the examination fees. Then the textbook readings are also there. uh, Generally, for India, you will get some sort of a discount, and it won't be 125, but this is what officially it is on the website. But this might be subject to some sort of a discount around $80 to $90 or so for each level. So keep that into mind. And then once you become a CAIA charter holder and you have a membership, then you have to pay on the right side. The annual membership fees are there. So for full membership, you have to pay $350. But for people who are in India, there is which comes under the emerging markets. So just look at the fourth line, emerging markets, $100. This is the fees that you have to pay. So yeah, this is what the annual membership fees is. So this is the total cost of taking the exams and the materials, and then maintaining your membership in good standing with the CAIA association. You may feel what you would get for getting the for maintaining the membership. For maintaining the membership, first of all, you get a right to maintain the CAIA designation after your name. Second thing, and the biggest takeaway of the CAIA program is the networking opportunities. So I have been a volunteer in the past with CAIA association, and I have seen the kind of events that they do on a regular basis. Uh, they have a few events which are webinars and all, which can be attended even by the non-members. And then there are certain closed door events where only select members are invited, or a first come first serve registration is done, but only for those who are members. And the kind of the kind of cohort that comes, the kind of speakers that they come, they are generally fund managers. They share their insights on the markets. Then they share their insights on the industry, how it is shaping up. It is a very enriching discussion. So this is the real takeaway of the CAIA program, that once you complete it, it ensures that you network extremely well, and you network with the relevant people uh, who matter in your industry, who call the shots in your industry. And therefore it gives you an audience with these speakers, with these people, and thereby you can actually further your career. So this gives you a fighting chance at landing that dream job, or it gives you a fighting chance at networking with the right people, with the powerful people in the industry.
I can only imagine what kind of a discussion it must be, because all the top people in the industry are coming together and talking about what's going on in the markets. So I think it would be a golden opportunity for anybody who's a newbie or a fresher to just go forward and be a part of that kind of a discussion. So definitely take away from here that you need to be a member there to continue using your rights and the degree that you earned. Coming to our next slide, let's talk about the exams, the format, and the curriculum which you'll have to go through to become a CAIA.
So, so on the left side, I've given the topics and their indicative weightages, because these are not like hard coded weightages. It depends on the CAIA association. They assess a lot of things, and then they give weightage to certain topics in certain examinations. Okay. So professional standards and ethics, it generally gets between 15 and 25% weightage. Uh, Introduction to alternative investments is between 20 and 28%. Real estate Real estate, including commodities, is between 11 and 17%. Hedge funds, 12 to 20%. Private equity, 11 to 17%. And structured products is between 10 and 14%. So on a given exam, you could find that while the while say for example hedge funds has been around 12%, and others have been at the bottom of their ranges. Some other, like say for example introduction to alternative investments, it will be at the top end of the range. That range keeps shifting based on a lot many factors, but this is how typically the exam is conceived. These are the indicative exam weightages that the association gives. Now if we look at all these topics, I've given an understanding of within these topics what exactly will be covered. So if we talk about professional standards and ethics, then there are like 5-6 bullet points which will be covered. Introduction to alternative investments, again like 7 points which will be covered. Natural resources, land, private equity. I've given a a markdown of each and every topic, and these topics in level 1, they come in great detail, but the focus is on understanding these topics, is on developing a very conceptually clear understanding of these topics, because the level 2 curriculum will build on the concepts which you learn in level 1. So even if you look at the examination format, the examination format is just like this. So there will be 2 exams for each level. So one will be in the morning, one will be in the afternoon. Okay, there'll be an hour of break or so. So section 1 will have 100 multiple choice questions, and it will be for 2 hours or 120 minutes. Again, there'll be a break, and then there'll be again 100 multiple choice questions and 120 minutes. The focus will be over here to test the understanding. There will be some amount of quantitative numbers which will come in if you look at the introduction to alternative investments, the 3rd and 4th point, the 5th, the 6th and the 7th. So this is where the quantitative part will lie. So you should be you'll get to learn a lot about statistics, risk management, the basic quantitative part of risk management. You will get to the basic quantitative part of portfolio management in a alternative investment context. That all you will get to know in this part. And the others also little bit of quantitative part will be there, but it will not be like extremely quantitative heavy like there is in some other designations. So it will be a fair mix of quantitative as well as qualitative. Let me share my personal experience. When I was preparing for the charter, at that time, I personally found the readings very engrossing. They were very engaging, and I literally started reading it like a storybook. It was just like some beautiful story which was being viewed, and I absolutely enjoyed reading this. So if you read it with that frame in mind, that there should not be any kind of pressure that this I have to memorize or this I have to be able to do. It should not be like that. The topics by themselves, they are very, very interesting and very engrossing to read. If you read it like a storybook, if you read it in a way that there is no pressure on you, then you will really enjoy the journey of giving level 1 exams.
Agreed. So you can see here that the exam is mostly all MCQs. There's section 1, there's section 2, there's a morning time for 120 minutes, and there's an afternoon time of 120 minutes that you'll have to sit through to get the exam done. And I will suggest you, all of you, to take a screenshot of this slide, because you need to keep something handy to refer in case you need to see what the course will look like. Now, Manan has already given a beautiful view of what the course structure will be and what will be there in all the subjects. So I have one question, like if we talk about the difficulty level, I mean, of course, when you gave it as someone who was approaching the markets as someone absolutely new to the industry. You didn't know about all of this back then. So, keeping that frame in mind, how can you just define the difficulty level of the exams? I mean, will for an average student or for a person who has like average knowledge of the markets, they are comparatively new to alternative investments, private equity, hedge funds, and other structured products, will they be able to clear it in one shot?
So I'll tell you, for anyone who is a graduate, that is, who
Hmm.
has done his bachelor's degree, and who has absolutely no understanding of finance at all. Okay, let's take the base case scenario. Okay,
Okay.
roughly it will take him around, for a pure graduate, it will take around 350 to 400 hours to learn this.
Okay.
Go through the curriculum. But if someone is a chartered accountant, someone has gone through the grind basically, and who, if is given, a little bit of standing, he can quickly build upon it. For someone like that, it will take around 200 hours to maybe 250 hours of learning, and they should be able to face the exam properly. So, like in terms of passing and failing, I won't be able to get, because it becomes very subjective. But for chartered accountant level guy or a postgraduate level guy who has gone through the grind properly, uh, the candidate should be able to clear it after using of between 200 and 250 hours.
Okay. Okay, superb.
Yeah,
Now it's upon you how you divide the 200 to 250 or
yeah.
350 to 400 hours in your schedule. You can do it with a job, you can not do it with a job, it's your call. But you need to put in this basic minimum, bare minimum number of hours, because more than clearing the exam, it's important for you to build the basics right, because this exam and this degree will be based on these topics that you see on your screen. So unless you have a very clear conceptual understanding, it will be very difficult to practice the degree after, even after you get it. Okay. Yes, coming to level 2 topics.
Now, level two is where the stuff gets trickier compared to level one. Obviously, it has to be, right? It is the next level. So over here, the number of topics, it increases, and there is an element of not just multiple choice questions, but also descriptive answers, or what the CAI Association calls as constructed responses. Okay, or descriptive writing. Now or now what happens is that there will be certain topics which will have zero weightage in multiple choice questions, and they will have weightage only in descriptive questions, and certain topics which will have more weightage or less weightage in either of multiple choice or description. Now over here, this, in level one, you have already learned about various topics, right? How does it build up? The second level mainly focuses from an asset allocation perspective. So say for example, you are a manager, you are a fund manager, you are handling the portfolio. How will you actually do the allocation part? That is where it builds up. So it requires you to be mature enough in your thinking when you are taking level 2 to be able to take such complex decisions. The tools and techniques will obviously be provided in level 2, and the focus will be accordingly. Just as in every program has a different kind of a focus. So say for example, a chartered accountancy program, the focus is on corporate finance, taxation, audit, right? In the same way, the focus over here is not just to be an analyst, or not just to analyze this investment versus that investment. The focus should be to develop that perspective of an asset allocator, that yes, you are sitting in a position of power, and now you have to make those allocations to various asset classes and manage the overall portfolio risk. How will you do that? That is what it teaches you to. So that is why you will see asset allocation and institutional investors, the focus is 8 to 12%, private equity 11 to 15%, real assets 13 to 17%, commodities, hedge funds and managed futures again a very important topic. And especially over here, hedge funds and managed futures, you will study a lot about the hedge fund trading strategies, how they employ leverage, you know, what is a statistical arbitrage, under which kind of market conditions it will make profit or it will not make profit, what is mean reversion. You know, these kind of things you will learn typically in hedge funds and managed futures. What is a pair trade? I mean, a lot of things come to my mind, but you get the gist, right? And then there will be various kinds of structured products, which, say for example, there is some product which gives you a participation in when the markets go up, but then it kind of does it kind of hedges your risk when the markets go down. So this is just one example of a structured product. There could be many structured products conceived for many different purposes. How to evaluate them if you are making an investment, how to yourself be able to structure those products. These various aspects you will learn in level 2 curriculum. And I can, having gone through this program, I can say with hand on my heart that there is no other program which teaches you, you know, these kinds of nitty-gritties in alternative investments. So the second part, the second level is also equally engrossing, in fact more engrossing and more like a fairy tale. But if you do it properly, and over here your effort level also needs to go considerably up, because it's not just about reading and passing the exams, it is also about developing that perspective. So over here the challenge will be manifold, but with decent amount of reading and you know, a change in your focus or a change in your approach, I'm pretty sure you should be able to nail it. Coming to the examination format, over here there will be again 2 exams. So section 1 will have 100 multiple choice questions, just like the level 1 exam. They'll be over 2 hours. The second section will have like 3 descriptive or constructed responses. Okay, it will be of 120 minutes. So it could be small case study, and they'll test a variety of areas. So they'll give you some kind of a case or some kind of a situation, and based on that there will be 2 to 3 questions which will be asked for every descriptive question, and it will, one will build on the other. So say for example, the first descriptive response will have like 3 to 4 sub questions. If you are able to answer the first one and the second one, then you will be able to answer the third one and the fourth one, you know. So it flows like that. So for that you have to be conceptually very clear. You'll have to be able to apply whatever you have learned in those limited minutes that you have, and it can be tricky, but with the right amount of education, the right amount of training and focus, it can be aced.
Okay. Okay, now talking about, yes, so we will see what the historical past percentages have been. You've already seen the kind of course and the curriculum that CAIA as a degree offers. If you haven't taken the screenshot of the previous slide, just take the screenshot right now, because this is a comprehensive display of what the course will look like, and that it's truly like a 360-degree coverage of what alternative investments can have. Go ahead and take the screenshot. Let's come to the next slide. Historical pass percentage, what the past says, that what kind of passing percentage will be there if you enter the course. Yes, so yes, Manan.
There is no fixed pattern over here, but if you see, typically from 2018 September, you will see that the pass rate of level 2 has suddenly increased. Okay.
Hmm.
So before that it was around 59, 57, 58%. Now it has suddenly gone to 62, 69%. Now there is a reason for this. Okay. The reason is that the CAIA association has actually tied up with you know, the CFA program, and for a limited number of candidates, CFAs, who have cleared all the 3 levels, there is this stackable pilot program which goes on. So they
Okay.
can give the only the second level of the CAIA program directly, and they can get the charter. So if you look at the description I have given below, level 2 pass rates from September 2018 inclusive of this particular arrangement. And this is only for a limited period. And this is only for, it is like a pilot program. It is a kind of a learning for both CFA Institute and CAI Institute that they are, undertaking. And which is why you will see that the pass levels have increased. It is basically because the quality of candidates taking the examinations has also increased manifold. Those who have already done the CFA program, their understanding and an ordinary graduate's understanding, there will be some difference in it, right? So which is why the quality of candidates is increased, and that is why the pass percentages have increased. But this should not be misconstrued as if the program is easy to pass. For people who have not studied, the traditional theories of finance, who don't know what Miller-Modigliani hypothesis is, or in statistics who don't understand the central limit theorem, all these basic theories of finance for a person who has not studied, for them, it will be an uphill task. And this I've given, since we were talking about the past levels, the past percentages, these are the percentages, but then it needs to be kept in mind that the quality of people taking the CIA program has increased drastically, which is why level 2 pass rates are actually increasing. Level 1 pass rates, if you see, okay, they've
It
actually,
decreased.
so this is where the crux of the matter is.
Okay, so good news for those who have already taken the CFA program. If you've already cleared 3 levels, it becomes easier for you to take CAIA because you just have to give the second level and you will get the charter, right? If you have been thinking that whether to go for CFA or something more specializing like CAIA, then you might decide to take both the levels and go only for CAIA because this is a very specific oriented, I mean, it's oriented towards a very specific target. So you might want to go for this particular program. But if we talk about the duration, Manan, that taking both the levels of CIA, how much time it will take, that's one thing. And if somebody has already given 3 levels of CFA and they want to go for the second level, how much time will that take? If we talk in times, in terms of effort and duration, what will it look like?
So typically, the program, if you sit down and if you work meticulously, and you work very systematically, you can pass both the levels, in about a year's time. It is possible.
Okay.
But if you, for example, if you are working and you have family responsibilities, and if there are other moving targets, then maybe it will take, even accounting for like one attempt at passing either of the levels, it will take you around 1.5 years. So time wise, it is fairly economical. Like you can definitely look 1 year or maybe 1.5 years into the future and plan your studies. Planning it for like the next 3 years or 4 years, that becomes very tricky because there are a lot of unknowns.
Okay. Okay. So, particularly for people who are graduates and who are looking for a specializing degree, they might want to go for this course because if you are looking to take a professional course, clearing both the levels in 1 year, in a matter of 1 year, securing the charter, and then trying to go and find a job, it will become relatively easy for you to get a job in an investment bank after this because then you will have a degree that will speak for you, right? So definitely, I think it makes more sense for someone who is in the student stage and not in a working stage to go for it. The earlier you go for it, I think the better. What do you think?
No, actually, I'll tell you, it's for students, definitely can take it up. But if you just go on popular platforms like, say, for example, LinkedIn, and if you search CAIA, you will see that mostly it is the experienced people uh, who have been in the investment industry, or it is MBA graduates who want to get into investment banks, or it is the CFA charter holders or the FRM charter holders. They are the ones who, in a bid to specialize in alternative investments, they also pursue these degrees. So students, obviously they can, but even experienced professionals, they can also gain a lot out of this industry, and this qualification. So
Yeah,
it
and
is it
they
is let's not just classify it for only student types. It can benefit a lot many diverse group of of students. Yeah.
okay, okay, and experienced professionals are also more clear in their mind that what they want to do in the future. So that's an added benefit, definitely.
So I'll give you my own example that I was already into employment for like 5 6 years, which is when I chanced upon this, and which is when I took it up, because this is what I wanted to do ultimately.
Okay.
Yeah, coming to this, the CAIA is now being noticed, and given the booming growth in the alternative investment industry in general, a lot of focus is on the on hiring the CAIAs, and the CAIA association also has its own jobs board. So what it does is, for members, they can access job listings on the website of CAIA association, and the one and the what you see in the screenshot is right from the CAIA association website. So on their career center section, these were the jobs that were actually listed. So I have just given a screenshot of this.
So guys, if
If
you
you look at,
see, yeah, these are screenshots from the website itself. This is not made up. These are screenshots from the website itself, because these companies are looking for people who have qualified CAIA to hire in their departments, concerned departments. So yes, Manan.
so this is and these are all foreign job postings. If we do a quick search on popular Indian platforms, which also I did, we can go to the next slide. There you will see the job listings which are there in India and who specifically ask for CAI charter holders. So like on IM jobs, you can see Credit Suisse and various, I mean, job listings are there. On LinkedIn, it's there for various companies. And then even on Naukri.com, it's there. So these three are like very popular job platforms. And even in India, now the designation is, starting to get noticed. And, people are increasingly asking for CAIA charter holders.
Okay, so these are real screenshots from these job portals, because these companies are specifically looking for someone who's a CAIA charter holder, or comparatively other finance degrees like CFA or FRM. So they are specifically looking for people who have a knowledge base in this area, and preferably a degree would take you a longer way, because then they know that you are really focused on what you are doing. You're focused in your career, you're focused in the area that you want to concentrate your future in. So yes, again, I think, yeah, that's it. So do you want to tell us more about this hashtag?
Yep. So hashtag Manan Karo is what I use extensively when I write on LinkedIn. I write about the industry, about what is happening currently in the markets. Uh, I also write about leadership and motivation, apart from writing about the financial markets and writing on the economy in general. But yeah, I mean, would be great if you could use the hashtag to find me. If you could follow me on LinkedIn, it'll be fantastic.
Yeah, so I am linking Manan's LinkedIn description URL profile description. You got it right. Profile description in the description box below on the video. So do not forget to follow him. And if you have liked the video, do appreciate him in the DMs. I ask you that how your journey with the CAIA degree, and you said you went on later to pursue the degree, before that you had already entered into the market and you were already doing a job. How has it been? I mean, we would love to know from the start.
Okay, so I had already done a master's in finance, and it was fairly exhaustive. So I did not want to study something just for the heck of it. I wanted to study something which would complement my knowledge, uh, and it would give me an understanding of a broader investment world. It would not restrict myself only to the listed space. So what I did was I chanced upon the CIA course. It instantly it interest, and then I started studying for it. Uh, like I said, that studying for the designation was an absolute pleasure. And immediately once I completed it, uh, I actually started getting work with a lot of hedge funds. So I landed a trading role within the bank where I work at. And when I started interacting with the hedge funds and the fund managers and the traders on the other side, whatever I had learned actually started coming into practice. I immediately started figuring out as to what they actually mean to say, what they are actually instructing me to do. It made the entire journey transitioning from one work profile to the other. uh, it made the entire transition much more easier because I was in a position to understand what their requirements were and what they were talking about. So for me personally, it has been an absolute benefit. It has been a blessing in disguise that I have actually gone through this course, and which is why I actually feel proud of putting the designation after my name, because I have really studied hard for it, and I'm proud of the fact that I passed two difficult examinations.
So you had discovered it early that this was where your interest and your passion really lied, and that's why you went on to pursue the course, right? And you have been more than 15 years into the industry. What kind of value has the degree added to your career?
So, number one is knowledge. Knowledge that it has given me, it gives me a different kind of confidence. Uh, uh, the second thing is networking, and which is like the real big takeaway. You when you know the who's who of the investing world comes to various seminars that the CIA Association organizes, and when you actually get to interact with them, the kind of confidence boost and the kind of improvement in perspective that you get out of it is something which any other program, uh, in my personal knowledge, uh, kind of lacks in. There are many other good programs, but this kind of close interaction with industry stalwarts, that is something which the CIA it provides me. And then the third one is obviously the the recognition of this degree is improving day by day, and that kind of makes me suitable for many jobs which are not just limited to investment banking, but also with, say, hedge funds or with managed futures or with private equity participants. So it basically broadens my scope. So knowledge, networking, and scope is basically the three pillars of growth that you will see in yourself as a person after pursuing the CAIA designation.
Okay, okay. So I really want to ask this. If you have a few things to say to people who are trying to find where their interest lies in finance, I mean, they know that they want to do something in finance. Stock markets really interest them. What is your advice for the people who are just starting out and who are just trying to figure out in life?
So what they can do is, obviously, apart. So So there are certain things which need to be done. Uh, First is obviously improve your understanding about the markets, about the economy. Uh, See and read the other people's views. Read news dailies like Economic Times and The Economist. Um, there are many. There is a wealth of information out there. And secondly, specifically, if you want to know whether you are cut out for alternative investments, then you can go to the CAIA Association website. It is www.caia.org, and over there there is this fundamentals of alternative investments program. You can go through the basics, and it will give you a very good idea if you are cut out for alternative investments, and if you want to actually pursue this as a long-term career. So these two things, if you do, you will get an idea whether you want to, first of all, be in this industry at all, and second thing is you want to be in this particular area of investments or not. So hopefully that answers the question.
Yes, absolutely. That answers the question. So don't forget,
Yes.
can you name the course again?
Fundamentals of alternative investments.
Okay, so Fundamentals of Alternative Investments is a free that is there on the CAIA website. You can actually take this course to analyze and find out for yourself whether you are really interested into it, whether you would want to pursue this kind of a course for a long-term career. And yeah, I think you have gained a lot from this presentation. Manan has shared everything that he could. We will surely be willing to take all your queries, all your questions. You can post them in the comments below. And like I told you, I will be linking Manan's profile URL in the description. Don't forget to connect with him, and don't forget to let him also know if you have any particular queries. He's been 15 plus years into the industry, and he'll be happy to guide you.
Absolutely, my pleasure.
Yes. So I think that's a wrap. And thank you so much for watching, guys. Do not forget to like, comment, and share this video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We are coming up with more videos. We'll be coming up with another video where we'll be talking about Manan's job and how his experience has been working. It has been working in this job for so many years, and all the key takeaways. Don't forget to stay tuned. And yes, stay safe, take care, and bye-bye.
Thank you very much, Bhavna.